Hello students, good morning. Hope you all are fine. So today we are going to discuss some questions on tissue. That is an important chapter for class 9 as well as for class 11 and 12th. So our first question is, which of the following is not a type of animal tissue? That is meristematic tissue, which is present in plant. So answer of first question is option D. Our next question is, the outer layer of skin is composed of which type of tissue? The upper layer is made up of epithelial tissue, which is further divided into 4 or 5 types, that are glandular, squamous epithelium, columnar epithelium tissue. So answer of second question is option A. Our next question is, which type of tissue will provide protection and support to the body organ? That, as we have discussed, that epithelial tissue is the outermost layer, that is not the outermost but the layer present, so it will help in to protect the body organ as well as support. So answer of third question is option A. And the next question is, which type of tissue is responsible for the contraction and movement of body parts? That is our muscular tissue, which contract and with the help of muscular tissue we can move our body. Our next question is, xylem and phloem tissue are the example of which type of plant tissue? Xylem is the part of plant which helps in the transportation of water and minerals, whereas phloem is a part of plant that transport the food, and collectively xylem and phloem are known as vascular bundle, which is a part of vascular tissue. So answer of fifth question is option C. Our next question is, which type of tissue lines the inner lining of the stomach and intestine? So it is asked that the inner lining of stomach and intestine is also made up of epithelial tissue. Moving on to our next question, which type of tissue will store the fat in our body? That is adipose tissue, which is a part of muscular tissue. Answer of seventh question is C. Our next question is, which of the following is not a characteristics of epithelial tissue? That it is highly vesical, it is not its characteristic. And all the other 3 options are correct, A, B and D. Our next question is, which type of tissue help in the transportation of oxygen and nutrients in plants? So in case of plant, it is said which tissue will transport oxygen and nutrients. So nutrients in the plants are transported by xylem and phloem, which is a part of vascular tissue. So here answer will be option C. But in case of animal, the same question is repeated for animal, then oxygen and nutrients are transported by the blood. That is a case of connective tissue. Then we will go with connective tissue, blood. Here the answer of ninth question is C. Our next question is, the meristematic tissue responsible for the increase in length of the plant is called. There are 3 types of meristematic tissue: apical, lateral and intercalary. Apical meristem is present at the apex of the plant, that means at the top of the plant and at the bottom of the plant. So these two, the cells present on the top will divide and increase the length of the plant. So answer of 10th is option A. And our next question is, which type of tissue help in binding and support which type of tissue helps in binding and supporting other tissues in plants? That is our vascular tissue, which support other tissues to live with the flow of water, minerals and food through xylem and phloem. So our next question is, which of the following is not a component of connective tissue? That is chloroplast. It is not a part of connective tissue. Moving on to our next question, which type of tissue is responsible for the conduction of nerve impulse in our body? So nerve impulse is carried out by nervous tissue. Answer will be option number D. Our next question is, the process of formation of different type of tissues from the same meristem is known as cell differentiation. Answer of 14 question is C. Moving on to our next question, that is, which type of epithelial tissue is found in the lining of blood vessel and air sacs of lungs? That to answer this question, we have to understand the function of lungs. Through lungs, the diffusion occur for oxygen and CO2 exchange. That is, CO2 from the blood vessel jump and enter into the lungs, whereas oxygen that we inhale from alveoli, it will enter into our blood. So the walls of alveoli, or we can say air sac in lung, should be as thin as possible for the exchange of gases. So it is made up of very thin layer, that is the thin possible layer is squamous epithelium. Answer of 15 question is option A. Our next question is, the structural and functional unit of nervous tissue is neuron. So answer of 16 question is option A, neuron. Don't confuse with neuron and nephron. Nephron is the basic unit of kidney. And answer of 16th is option A. Next question is, the waxy layer present on the outer part of the plant is made up of which type of tissue? So waxy layer is present on the outer part, so it will come under epidermal tissue. Epi means outer, dermal matlab layer. Next question is, which type of tissue will cover the tip of root and shoot in the plant? It is discussed that answer of this question is apical meristem. And our next question is, which of the following is not a type of plant tissue? Which of the following is not a part of plant tissue? So epidermal tissue, yes. Vascular tissue and ground tissue, all three are there, but not the option B. Moving on to next question, which type of tissue help in the movement of food in our digestive system? So movement of anything in the body is caused by the muscular tissue, by the contraction and relaxation of the muscle. Our next question is, phloem tissue is responsible for the conduction of. Conduction here means the transportation of food material, and this flow is bidirectional. So answer of 21st will be option B. Our next question is, which of the following is an example of simple epithelium? So answer of this question is blood vessels. And the next question is, which type of tissue will form the bulk of plant body and perform various functions like photosynthesis and storage, that is done by ground tissue. Our next question is which process of development of tissue the process of development of mature tissue from meristematic tissue is called cell maturation. Here maturation of cell is occurring, so it is named as cell maturation. Our next question is the primary function of nervous tissue is to conduct the nerve impulse. Answer of 25th question is option A. And our next question is which type of epithelium tissue is present in the salivary gland and sweat gland? That is glandular epithelium. And our next question is the cell of meristematic tissue will have dense cytoplasm and small vacuole. Our next question is which of the following is an example of unicellular gland? Unicellular gland in the body is goblet gland. So remember this question. And our next question is the tissue responsible for the transportation of water and minerals in the plant is called. For the transportation of water and mineral, that is xylem tissue. And our next question is the process of deposition of lignin in the cell wall of xylem tissue is called lignification, whereas transpiration is the loss of water vapors from the aerial part of the plant, and respiration is the production of energy in the cell. So our next question is which of the following is an example of loose connective tissue? Loose connective tissue is our blood. So answer of 31st is option B. Our next question is the tissue responsible for the conduction of electrical signals in the plant is called vascular tissue. Our next question is which type of tissue form the lining of urinary bladder? That is muscular tissue. Firstly, we have to understand the function of urinary bladder. Urinary bladder stores urine for some time, and after then it is completely filled up. A signal is sent to the brain to pass on the urine through the urethra, but it has one more capability to expand, that it can expand to store for the urine for the longer time. But this must not be done because it will cause some health issues if we are not releasing the urine from out of the body. Our next question is the process of replacement of damaged tissues with new tissue is called regeneration. Moving on to our next question, which of the following is not a type of muscle tissue? Which of the following is not a type of muscle tissue? That is, all the A, B and C are a type of muscle tissue, but not the meristematic muscle tissue. There is no such thing as. Our next question is the tissue that is responsible for the contraction of heart is heart is made up of cardiac tissue, which is an example of case of muscular tissue. Our next question is which type of tissue form the inner lining of respiratory passage? Respiratory passage. So the inner lining of respiratory passage is made up of epithelial tissue. Our next question is the process of formation of new cells from the meristematic tissue is called. The process of formation of new cell is cell division. So our next question is the answer of 38th question is C, that is cell differentiation. Cell divide to form new cells. Our next question is the tissue responsible for the synthesis and secretion of hormone is called glandular tissue. Glands help in the secretion of enzymes and hormones. And our next question is, which of the following is an example of complex permanent tissue? So, complex permanent tissue means the tissue which is made up of dead and living, both type of cell, that are xylem and phloem. So, answer 40th question is option D. Our next question is, the tissue responsible for the formation of new blood cells is called red bone marrow. Blood cells are formed in our bone. There is some space named as red bone marrow. Our next question is, which type of tissue cover the surface of leaves, stem and roots in plants? So the answer of 42 question is epidermal tissue. It will cover the surface. Our next question is, the cell of epidermal tissue are tightly packed and lack what? It will lack chloroplast. Our next question is, which type of tissue is responsible for the transportation of food material in plant? Food is transported by the phloem tissue. Answer will be option number D. So our next question is, the tissue responsible for the conduction of electrical signals in our body is our nervous tissue. And moving on to our next question, which type of tissue form the bulk of plant body and perform various functions like photosynthesis and storage? Photosynthesis is done by parenchyma, which is a part of ground tissue. Our next question is, the process of development of mature tissue from meristematic tissue is called. Here the tissue development of mature tissue from meristematic tissue is called cell maturation. Our next question is, the primary function of nervous tissue is the conduction of nerve impulse. Answer of 48 question is option number A. Our next question is, which type of epithelial tissue is present in the salivary gland and sweat gland, that is glandular epithelium. Our next question is, the cells of meristematic tissues will have dense cytoplasm.